Okay, so welcome. You made it to the Louvre, and how do we know it's the Louvre? Well, that pyramid back there that everybody's doing little pictures like this on top of. They have all of these little structures for you to stand on so that you can point to the top of it. It's a very popular picture. Anyway, the Louvre is a pretty fascinating place, and it's huge. It's really big. The Louvre started off as a fort. It was not technically inside the city because it's not on the island of La Cité. It's outside, but that's when the city started to expand, growing and growing and growing. And after the king moved from Palais de Justice, the first palace, he moved into this one because it had been a fortress, but it was bigger, and he said, well, I deserve something big and beautiful, and he started collecting art. Lots and lots and lots of art, filling the walls with art. So much art, so many walls. It was getting out of control. Well, nowadays, I mean, they changed it. They made it into the first museum ever in France or in Europe. And there is enough artwork in here to, if you lay it side by side, it will circumference the earth 8 times. You're not going to see that. Most of it is in storage. It's lent out to other places. There's also the Louvre in Abu Dhabi or in Dubai. So there's other locations. Now, I personally love art. I had a museum pass that I used for 3 days, and I went through every bit of the Louvre, and it was amazing, but it is a little much for your vacation, so I don't necessarily recommend that you do what I did. Keep in mind that on Wednesday night, it's open late. The majority of people are going to come in at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and that's when the lines are going to be bad. Get a prepaid pass if you can, and then I would try to enter on the subway level, because once you go down into the Carousel du Louvre, it is a much better line than being outside here where the majority of people come, because they want to go to where the pyramid is. It's actually, the entrance is underneath the pyramid, so it's better to go in from the ground floor, or under the ground floor actually. So, there are free lockers, it is air conditioned, they have free Wi-Fi, there are plenty of places to get a snack. You can bring lunch in with you and put it into your free locker as well. Spend the day and enjoy. It's better as it gets later in the evening because there's less crowds. Now, the Louvre. The most interesting part that I found was that it has a sculpture that dates back 9,000 years. It is in the ancient Equities area of Egypt. So try and find it, because this little crumpled up man, he's pretty important. But what's more important than that? The Mona Lisa. Why? Everybody wants to know, why is the Mona Lisa such a big deal? It's on magnets, it's on bags, it's on pillows, it's on handbags, it's everywhere. Okay, so there were Italian workers that were working inside the Louvre, and they loved Da Vinci, and they saw this painting, and they decided, let's bring it home. They took that painting, and it became a scandal. The next day, everybody came in, and they were looking at the artwork, and there's a blank spot on the wall. Nobody knows where the Mona Lisa went to, and it took a long time to recover the Mona Lisa. But the question at that point was, why was that the one piece that was stolen? What made it so important? And so all the stories started as to why it was the most incredible artwork in the world. And well, you go and see and tell me what you think. Some think it's the smile, the mischievous smile, what was behind the smile. Some think that maybe because it was from the master Da Vinci, who didn't do a lot of paintings but was a great mind. But you know what's more interesting? Turn around onto the other side of where the Mona Lisa is, and you'll see actually what is the largest painting in the Louvre. Now, when you walk in and you see the hordes and hordes and hordes of people that are focused on the Mona Lisa, you turn around and you see this gigantic painting. It's almost a symmetry. There's a huge amount of things going on both sides. It's really kind of interesting. My other tip is that if you get a little cold and chilly, be sure to bring a sweater, because some of those rooms get pretty cold. You can hit up Angelina for probably the second best hot chocolate that you've ever had in your entire life. You want to know the first one? I'll tell you later. It's really, really good. But there is something about Paris, and their hot chocolate is like you've never tried before. So let's go ahead and take a walk a little bit over to the other side. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this area, which is actually pretty fascinating. We're just across the way from the Louvre. The Louvre is right over here, and now what we're in front of is the Carousel Arch. Now, it looks just like the Arch de Triomphe, doesn't it? It's really interesting. It is actually pretty close to the same thing, except it was a combination. The Arch de Triomphe and the Carousel Arch, they're a tribute to Italy. The base part of it is actually Roman, and then the top sculptures are Venetian. They're both kind of rip-offs of existing structures that are in those particular cities in Italy. Napoleon had a history of family that lived in Italy, and he was very much an Italian in heart, so he had a lot of love for Italian art. That's why there's so much of it here. Now, the really kind of cool thing is that this arch, if you stand under it and you look that way, is going to line up exactly with the Concorde, the Place de Concorde, and with the Arch de Triomphe, the real one, the big one. And then if you go even further, which most people don't do, you'll actually get to the Grand Arch, which is something that you'll see that's in La Défense. And it's a modern arch. Now, that also lines up on this way with the Louvre, with the Pyramid of the Louvre. So that it all makes a symmetrical line, perfect line. There was a lot of planning that went on that was really astronomical. It was huge. It was really kind of incredible that they did that. So technically, this arch was where the beginning of the Tuileries Palace was. Now, the Tuileries Palace, it was maybe not made so well. It definitely was not made out of stone because it burnt down. So they got rid of it. They cleaned it up and they got rid of it. But they still liked the arch, and so they kept the arch. Now, the gardens that are behind us are the gardens of Tuileries, and they were private. They were private for the palace. They were opened up later, but originally there was like a menagerie for animals. This is where the king, when he was a boy, would do hunting because it was still big enough and it was still contained enough for them to ensure his safety. So it's now very beautiful gardens with lots of cafes and some fountains where you can go and enjoy your day and enjoy just watching the Parisians and being a part of this incredible weather that you're having today. So let's take a walk and see a few more things.